Oak Tree, then you co-founded the Global Poverty Project.
Yes.
What does it do?
The Global Poverty Project is a campaigning and educational organisation that is focused on activating large movements of people to end extreme poverty. So we're not a traditional charity that raises money and sends it to Africa. That's not what we do. We build big movements. So last year we ran the End of Polio campaign, and we convinced the Australian, Nigerian, Canadian governments to contribute an additional $118 million for polio. So we focus on how we build campaigns to get large-scale governments mobilised, as opposed to just, you and I raising $20 here and there. This is large-scale funds that we can actually use to put to good purposes. And so we focus very much on how do we build civil society movements that are strong enough to show governments that, in fact, society cares about making a difference and wants to contribute.
I believe every generation has the opportunity to leave a great mark on this planet. Whether it's to see the end of apartheid, the end of the slave trade, or in our case, the end of extreme poverty, every generation has the opportunity to do something great. Let's make our great challenge the challenge of ending extreme poverty. And today, let's all commit to do something about it.
I went into your website, and what I saw is the 1.4 billion reasons presentation. Can you please tell us about it?
1.4 billion reasons is an amazing presentation that in an hour provides you with a snapshot of the end of extreme poverty. We ask ourselves 5 key questions. What is extreme poverty? We ask ourselves, what can you do to end it? We ask ourselves, what are the barriers to ending extreme poverty that need to be overcome? And then we ask ourselves, what can we do to take action? And then finally, we actually invite people with specific actions they can take. So we follow this narrative over the course of an hour that allows people to go, oh, okay, I'm passionate about the empowerment of women, so what can I actually do? And then in the hour, we give people a snapshot, and we've taken this presentation. We want to do for global poverty what Al Gore did for climate change, in that he created an inconvenient truth and took it all around the world. So we've been working with Bill Gates to train up thousands of presenters now around the world to be able to deliver this presentation tens of thousands of times. We've spoken to 110,000 people around the world with the presentation now, and it's growing every single day.
Does it work?
Yeah, it does work. I mean, that's the whole way in which we first get people involved in the movement. It's one of the primary tools that we use to get people involved in the movement, and it's very convincing because we worked with the world's leading economists, Jeffrey Sachs, Paul Collier, Sakiko Fukuda-Pa. We worked with an incredible group of economists who, backed up the data behind 1.4 billion reasons to ensure that it was robust, so that we have the best, most cutting-edge research, but also know exactly what we're talking about and have presenters who can actually deliver that. So we train up presenters, spend hours and hours training to be it, and it works so well. College campus students, they see it and they're like, wow, how can I take action? It's immediate response. And then they go on what we call a commitment journey, which is a journey of deeper and deeper actions. So if I said to you, how do you want to end polio? You might think, okay, I want to make a donation. But then what else could you do? Maybe you could share it with your social network. Maybe you could read a book about it. Maybe you could get your friends and family involved, until one day you could actually be on the front line organising these issues. We see that people need to go on a journey of action, and this is the first step.
Live Below the Line is a big but simple idea. It starts with one Australian, a girl say. She commits to feed herself on $2 a day for 5 days. $2 a day means strictly planned meals and the odd caffeine withdrawal. Is she on a diet? Definitely not. This girl wants to understand, for a moment, what it might be like to live on just $2 a day, the extreme poverty line. Because for many of our neighbours just north of Australia, surviving on $2 is an everyday battle. Papua New Guinea is the poorest country in our region. Australians live 30 years longer than Papua New Guineans. And just 1 in 2 adults can read and write. One of the main problems is that there just aren't enough schools. And even where there are schools, how do you pay for textbooks and transport when all you have is $2 a day? In the end, most children don't progress past primary school. Those born into poverty often struggle in school, and that makes it really hard to get a job. They often marry young, so the next generation is again born into poverty. At Live Below the Line, we want to end extreme poverty within a generation. We believe the best way to tackle extreme poverty is by improving education, one school at a time. We're focusing on a remote area called Yangas. Yangas is typical of many villages in Papua New Guinea because the only school is a primary school and it's closed. Funds raised through Live Below the Line will help reopen Yangas Primary. We'll also build a high school in the Kumbareta region. We'll train teachers, we'll build libraries and provide scholarships to children who would have otherwise left school in Year 8. Our plan is to open books all over Yangas and directly improve the lives of 1,000 Papua New Guinean students. This is how you can help us beat extreme poverty. You feed yourself on $2 a day, you raise money to help fund education projects, and you help Papua New Guineans break out of their poverty cycle. So join thousands of Australians helping to open books all over Papua New Guinea. Go to livebelowtheline.com.au and sign up now.
Another interesting campaign is the Live Below the Line program.
Yeah.
What do participants do?
Live Below the Line is a campaign where we encourage participants around the world to live on $1.25 per day in food for 5 days. And the purpose of the campaign is to give people a tiny, tiny snapshot into what life is like for the bottom billion. And we know we'll never really know what it's like to live in extreme poverty. But we use this campaign to raise awareness, but also to raise crucial funds to support projects, health and educational projects across the developing world. So funds from last year's Live Below the Line built schools in Papua New Guinea and Cambodia, for example. And this year's Live Below the Line is supporting educational and health projects all around the world. So it's now become a global movement. This year there'll be about 15,000 people living below the line this week, which is very exciting. And we predict it will raise between $2 and $3 million this year for projects around the world.
And you have Hugh Jackman as your PR person and your advisor as well.
He's on our advisory board, yeah. He's been actively involved. He's not involved just as a celebrity, you know what I mean? He's actively involved. He comes to the board meetings, he shares his insights and wisdom. Hugh Jackman is a phenomenal man, just a real champion, has been an amazing supporter of the Global Poverty Project for so long now, since we started.
Hi, I'm Hugh Jackman. In the year 2000, 189 of the world's leaders made a promise to improve the lives of the world's poorest by the year 2015. 9 years on, 1.4 billion people still live in extreme poverty. It's time for us to re-energise this movement. Starting July 4th, the Global Poverty Project will be coming to communities across Australia to present 1.4 billion reasons. So please join us. The time is now.
How do you measure the success of Global Poverty Project so far?
I mean, we've got a long way to go. We're a young organisation. We were founded in September 2008. So far, I think our biggest successes was playing a key role in raising $118 million last year for polio eradication when we convinced the government of Australia, Nigeria, Canada and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to chip in $118 million and make that pledge on the back of our concert we ran with John Legend in Perth at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. We also, the Live Below the Line campaign has been enormously successful, and 1.4 billion reasons has been seen by 110,000 people around the world. So obviously we're achieving some results, but I'm not even vaguely happy with how far. I want to grow this organisation to really change the world.
What would you tell people why they should care or help other people who might live halfway across the globe when they themselves might have their own problems to worry about?
Well, I think that there's two reasons why you should care. Firstly, because you're a human being and you have a heart that beats, and you should care out of the simple moral obligation to care.
For you personally, what do you get out of doing all this, putting your effort into humanitarian work?
It's the most rewarding work in the whole world. I mean, I get to wake up every day and actually think, how can I use my creativity to change the world? It's better than any job in the whole world because it's not a job, it's incredible. Like, I love it more than anything because I literally wake up and I get to say, how can our organisation and the partners that we work with have a greater impact today to end extreme poverty?
Do you plan to do this for the rest of your life?
Absolutely, until extreme poverty is ended.
เราทุกคนช่วยได้นะคะอาจจะเป็นการคุยกับเพื่อนให้เขาเข้าใจถึงประเด็นปัญหาที่เกิดขึ้นในโลกนี้หรือว่าจะเป็นการบริจาคเงินหรือว่าจะเป็นการอาสาลงแรงกับองค์กรที่คุณสนใจเป็นพิเศษก็ได้หรือว่าอยากจะทำแบบฮิวเลยก็ได้นะคะก็คือว่าตั้งองค์กรขึ้นมาเองเลยระดมทุนเองเลยถ้าเกิดว่าช่วยกันคนละนิดคนละไม้คนละมือปัญหาความยากจนของโลกก็จะเล็กลงไปด้วยค่ะพบกันใหม่สัปดาห์หน้านะคะวันนี้สวัสดีค่ะ